Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Mythbusting. It was not so long ago that we were standing over here on this platform doing an episode answering some of your questions and messing around with pillagers, taking away their crossbows and finding out that they are essentially peaceful. Indeed. Well, it turns out there's a way to do this in survival mode. So here's one with a crossbow. I'm going to try and dodge, and I dodged it, and you saw there that the crossbow broke. And now, in survival Minecraft, it is possible to have peaceful pillagers. Now, all props here go to Cubfan135, who showed this off in his latest episode of Hermitcraft. It was a fantastic episode. It will be linked down below if you'd like to go and check it out for yourself. What Cub did was captured one of these pillagers and got it in a trap where it continuously shoot at a villager over and over again. This is 6 layers of snow right here, and if we press F3 and B, you can see it sort of manages to look over at the villager, yet it can't actually shoot at it, so it continuously shoots over and over again, and guess what? Eventually, that crossbow is going to break. So let's go ahead and summon in a pillager to speed this up. You can see I've made its crossbow have a low amount of damage, and because it's going to shoot at the pillager, it's going to do damage to its crossbow. And after a couple of shots here, that crossbow is going to break, and then you'll have yourself a peaceful pillager. Let's break the glass and let this guy out of here. Amazing. If you want to do this yourself, it will take you some time. The pillager takes 2.8 seconds to fire the crossbow. It has 325 uses, so that takes just over 15 minutes for it to use up all of its shot. But then the crossbow will break, and you'll have a peaceful pillager. Now, it just so happens that I'd spent the day watching back old myth-busting videos, as I plan on doing an episode where I compile a list of all the best things that we have learnt in this series that I think everyone should know about. And I came across an old question we asked, and I wondered if it was still the case, because this game receives many updates over time. So, mobs have the ability to pick up items off the ground on occasion, and then if they were to be attacked or to attack another player, we asked the question if they would use any of the durability on the items, and the question's answer, of course, was no. That's what we learned back in that episode. But now we have a mob, the pillager, that actually uses the durability of its own weapon. So having tested this on a handful of mobs, it would look like the pillager is the one exception. So we'll go over the myth quickly. We've got the zombie here that can pick up loot, and we're going to give it a bunch of items here with 0 durability. So the only way anything here is going to break is if I set the time to day. You can see that the helmet immediately breaks. If I attack the zombie, if it attacks me, none of the other stuff breaks. And here you can see it's all been returned with 0 durability. So it really does seem like this is just a one-off. I've got a skeleton here with a crossbow, but as we've already learned, it can't actually use the crossbow, even though it attempts to. There is also the case of the Vindicator, part of the Illager family. This one's been given a diamond axe with 0 durability, but you can see it's able to attack the mob and keep its axe. So it only works for the pillager. All this talk of the Vindicator reminded me that there is a murderous axeman in this game who goes by the name of Johnny. If you have a name tag and rename a Vindicator with it, it'll attack any mob in the game. And if you watched my snapshot videos, I showed how this would cause them to attack their pillager friends in the patrols and the raids. And I wonder, is that still true? I'm also wondering, what are the other mobs that are new does it attack? Now, if I summon in the Vindicator here, it should go straight after the Wandering Trader, but then it leaves all the other ones alone. Now, these have no AI, so I am going to just double check after that it does it with regular mobs. But if we go ahead and rename Johnny, Johnny starts attacking all the other mobs. So I've learned 2 things. First of all, Johnny has a little bit of trouble with smaller mobs. That includes the baby trader llama as well. As you can see, kind of takes a while before Johnny's actually able to kill the mob. And you'll see here that the panda is able to attack back, and that was actually it for Johnny there. The trader llama can also attack back as well, but Johnny, again, seems to have a little bit of trouble with this mob. Now, there are some exceptions, but this next one isn't one of those. We've got the Ravager here, and what's really surprising is that it doesn't attack back. Now, I'm going to guess they added a little bit of code to stop it attacking its fellow raiders, because it probably gets hit by the pillager crossbow quite a lot, right? All those arrows flying around everywhere. So what are the exceptions? We've got the Illusioner in the cage here with Johnny. We've got the Evoker. a fellow vindicator, and a pillager as well. These are the ones that Johnny the Axeman won't attack. Surprisingly enough, it will go after the Vex as well. With a command, we can make that a little bit clearer. There we go. You can see it attacks the Vex. There is one last exception here, which I'm a little bit baffled by, and that is the Ghast. It won't go after the Ghast. I mean, I don't know why. I've got no idea why Mojang made it this way. There are other interesting facts to be learned about Johnny. Like the Ravager, there are other mobs that don't attack back, and I'm not talking about cows and pigs and mobs that can't defend themselves. So here we have the Guardian, and you saw it there. Johnny took damage when he first attacked, and he'll take damage again. That's because the Guardian has its thorns out. It's extended like this. When they're actually retracted, it technically doesn't attack back. Anyway, what we're looking at here is that it's not using its laser beam. And you saw it there. When the thorns are retracted inwards, Johnny won't take damage when he attacks. Well, bonus fact for this episode. Apparently, a Vindicator spawned with an egg can actually now have an ominous banner on it. I did not know that. That makes this Johnny a patrol leader, I guess. So the next mob is the Phantom, and I've applied the slow falling effect so that it just stays at the very same height, and that allows us to see that Johnny will go after the Phantom, but the Phantom doesn't try to attack back. Every now and then you gotta have a little bit of fun. This is probably not the best way to show you actually what's going on here, but if you pay attention to the Johnnies, you'll notice that at no point do they ever take damage. And that's because slimes and magma cubes, they don't attack back. Here is another free, but for obvious reasons, you see Johnny here will simply one-hit them. And sometimes has trouble going after the silverfish and endermite as well. But they don't attack back because they get killed straight away. There are a few other interesting observations as well. The pigmen get group aggressive at Johnny and take him out. The shulker is predictably hilarious as it attacks Johnny, and Johnny just drifts off into the night sky. Then we have the dreaded creeper. You know what's going to happen here, right? So are you enjoying this episode? If you are, then leave a like, and of course make sure you're subscribed if you like this kind of content. I do it on a regular basis. I'll also encourage you to go down to the comments and type hashtag mythbusting. If you've got a question, when you use that hashtag, it makes it easier for me to find it. And I picked out a really great one related to the Pillagers. You see, they can give you the Bad Omen Effect if you kill them, if you've got one with a banner like this. But what if you have thorns on? It is possible to kill a mob passively by having thorns. So I'm holding all of the thorns right now, and we're going to jump into survival mode. The thorns is doing its thing. This guy's taking damage. And there we go. Oh wow, look at it in the top right corner. It is indeed possible to get Bad Omen through thorns. Fascinating. So in some way it's still related to the Pillager, but last episode we covered the Crossbow, and that was a fantastic episode where we learned loads of things, and then of course I had lots of follow-up questions. Every now and then I can tell that the person asking the question is essentially giving me the answer. So what is the question? It's the piercing enchantment, and does it go through shields? And of course the answer is yes. That's what that person was trying to tell me. So this one over here doesn't have the piercing enchantment. If I block, we can see that the arrow bobs off, and this one over here, if I actually hold my shield, you'll see that it goes through. So the piercing enchantment goes through shields, which makes it even more powerful. The next question inquires about the Infinity enchantment. If it works on a crossbow, you can only get this using commands, but you can see before you've even fired the crossbow that it doesn't work because the arrow gets taken from the pile here. So we had 63, now we got 62, and so Infinity doesn't work on a crossbow. This next one is about the multi-shot enchantment in combination with the explosive damage of a firework rocket like this one. The question is pretty simple. Can we triple the amount of damage that we do? What I'm going to do is get in real close here so that we would hit it with all three rockets, and I'm going to copy my location to the clipboard so I can paste it in and be in this exact position again. So now I'm going to load up the crossbow and fire it, and we can see how much damage is done 22. Now, as we learned, you have to be in the exact same position each time to do the same amount of damage. So now we're going to do that, teleport ourselves back to where we were a moment ago, fire off 3 rockets at once, step back, and look at the damage. It's 22. So the answer is simply that you can't triple the damage. Of course, if you're dealing with more than one entity and you're standing from afar, you can hit more entities at once, meaning you can spread the damage out a little bit more. That's the only way that it realistically does more damage. And that is the last of our crossbow questions, and it brings us to the end of this episode. However, what happens when you punch one of these pillagers? Nothing, they're still peaceful. It's hilarious. If you've enjoyed this one, then leave a like. As always, thank you for your support on the channel, and of course in the comments down below, hashtag mythbusting followed by your question. I will be reading them. So thank you for watching this episode, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.